Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. Today is Monday, August 5th, 2024, and I'm here yet again to answer your questions about immigration, to provide updates, and all sorts of groovy knowledge about immigration and politics, really, okay? Because everything comes down to politics when you're talking about immigration, okay? So you can see by the title that I have a topic in mind: real timelines for most immigration processes. So before I go to answer questions and things like that, I wanted to discuss this topic, okay? I will say that I'm always going to ask people to put their comments and questions in the comment section so that I can respond to them as people write them. Um, I do welcome everyone from all the different platforms we have. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, we're all over the place. So welcome. Thank you for joining us yet again on Immigration Live with Lee. So one thing that I really like to do when I welcome people is to ask them to please put in the comment section where they're joining us from. If that's in Ohio, if that's in Kuala Lumpur, I really want to know, okay? Because I have a passion for different countries and cultures, and I really would like to do it, okay? So if you could do that, that'd be great. So again, welcome. Put your comments and questions in the comment section, and please let me know where you're joining me from tonight. While I'm waiting for that, okay, let's see here. I want to get into my topic here. One of the most common questions I get week to week to week to week to week, and that's not just on this live, it's also people who are asking questions on my Facebook page, Instagram. It's all about timing, right? So, how long does it take to process this, that, or the other? Okay. The processing times are across the board ridiculous, okay? And they have been for quite a while. Oh, we got a friend from Gambia, West Africa. Welcome from Gambia. Thank you for joining us tonight. Okay, if you have questions, don't forget to post them in the comments section. Okay, so the number one question I get these days is all about waiting times. Okay, processing times, wait times. How do you find it online? And again, I have videos where I talk about that. Go to my YouTube channel and look up those videos, do a search, processing times, visa bulletin, things like that. And I tell people how to find answers to a lot of these. But a lot of these questions, um, you know, people don't, other attorneys don't have a very practical approach to this stuff when they're answering questions. Okay. I like to be practical in everything I do. I'm very practical. Okay. So I will say that also, so the number one question, how long do things take? Why do people ask that question? Because people have a very serious process, very serious things that are going on in their family, and they need to know. And people are inherently impatient, right, in life. So people ask constantly, "Are we there that yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? How long is it going to take?" Okay, it's a fair question, okay, but I get it a lot. So let me give you a general sense of some of these processing times. Like the two most common processes that we deal with are fiancé visa and spouse visa. So if the spouse visa is in the United States or outside the United States, most people on this program on Mondays are asking me about processes outside the United States, like our friend from Gambia. Okay, so Sammy, the Sammy from Florida, thank you for joining us and for putting where you're from. I really love it. Um, I will get to the questions in just a tad bit, but I want to tell you, okay, most people most people don't like to wait. Most people think that immigration is fast. I don't know why people think that, because you're dealing with one of the worst bureaucracies in the federal government, which is immigration. Okay. So the number one thing I tell people is be patient. Expect that it's going to take a lot longer than you really think it should. And if you're expecting it, you're not going to be totally bummed out and it's not going to crush you if it really does take a long time. Okay. I always say Things do get better from month to month, from year to year, but it's back and forth so much that it's really hard to put it exactly on these things. But I say generally speaking, okay? Generally speaking, green card process, spouse visas, fiance visas, I'll throw in there too. It's a good 2 years from the initial filing all the way through to the interview. 2 years, okay? So add more time onto that if you're dealing with a waiver that's needed for your process. So if you're dealing with a waiver, add 2 more years, okay? So the number one thing I tell people is expect that it's going to take longer. Sure, you can look up things, you can inquire as to how quickly it's going to go, but by and large, 90% of people who are talking to me have a complete lack of understanding how long this stuff really does take, okay? So if you have a specific question about a type of process, you can type it in the comment section and I will tell you from my experience, an attorney of 20 years, immigration, specialization for over a decade, I will tell you how long it's been taking for me, okay? So type in those questions. Um, I'm going to go to the actual questions now. So, we got a friend joining us from Texas too. Thank you, our friends from Texas. Um, so, question. Hello, my friend, and I greet you. That's a friend from Gambia who has yet to ask a question. So I will move to. Um, I have an approved I-131. That's a travel request. Okay. While I have an I-130 pending and an I-360 pending. Is it safe to use it in a travel overseas? If you get an approved I-131, approved travel request from the government, now absolutely is a safe time to use it, okay? If you don't have any weird stuff in your history, if you don't have any problems, crimes, things that the government thinks that you're up to no good, absolutely use it, okay? Because now, under this administration, is probably the best time to use these sorts of travel requests than under, well, the Trump administration was really tough with these. Generally speaking, though, when immigration approves it, they don't go back on their word. They don't come after you. They don't trick you. I've never experienced that, but I will say it's easier to get a travel request under the current administration. So definitely travel with it if you have it. Okay, it's absolutely safe to do. So unless you've got a weird history, you definitely can travel with it. Okay. Um, let's see. Question here. Um, PD in September 2023. I have my combo card. Is it too risky to travel back home at the end of August? Okay. So again, it's a similar type question. If you have the government's approval for your ability to travel, you're not going to worry about it. Okay. You can go ahead and travel. Got a friend from Michigan. Thank you, friend from Michigan. I forgot to mention I'm in Michigan. So thank you for that reminder of where I am. Okay. Everybody may already know it. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I've been here for quite a while doing immigration. Um, but I help people from all over the country and really all over the world. So thank you for joining us. Um, so so let me see here. Let's see if I have any questions here. Um, so Estelita, welcome as always, one of our regular friends from the Philippines. So thank you, Estelita, for joining us from the Philippines. Um, okay, so those questions, again, processing times are all over the place. So if you have a question about your processing time, put it in the chat and I will tell you. Otherwise, I'll go to some of the questions that I've gotten earlier that I wanted to go over. Okay, so let me go through it real quick here. Um, okay. Okay, so before I get to my prepared questions here from earlier clients, um, so I was scheduled twice for U.S. citizenship for taking the oath ceremony, but I still don't know the date yet. That's a bit weird. Where are you from, my friend? Yeah, from Michigan. You're the friend from Michigan, okay? Um, So I will say that Michigan, generally speaking, is pretty good with the processing times, okay? Why they've scheduled you multiple times, I don't understand that. Um, why you still don't know the date. When I do this for my clients, it typically is within a month that they get their oath ceremony scheduled. So if it's been longer than that, there might be something else going on. It's hard to say. Detroit, generally speaking, is a pretty darn good field office. So I don't know why they're still not scheduling for you because you're in Michigan, so you'd be dealing with Detroit. So it's hard to say. Okay, real quick here. I had a question here. I wanted to. So processing times for citizenship and removal of conditions. Okay, those are two very common processes that I wanted to give you a quick idea about. Citizenship. And anytime we're coming up to an election, I tell people file for citizenship, do not wait, okay? Because it's highly important that if you can get citizenship, you can vote. So processing time for citizenship um, really isn't bad. At least in Michigan, it generally is less than a year or it hovers around a year to get the interview and then the oath ceremony. As I was talking to my friend from Michigan here, in my experience, it's about a month. So I would say a year and a year and a few months maximum is how long it takes for people to go through the naturalization process. So that being said, if you haven't already filed and going through the naturalization process, you might not be able to vote this year, but that's not to say that you don't do it as soon as possible because it's that important, okay? Um, removal of condition processing times. That's a question that I haven't gotten in a while. That has been kind of all over the place because of the delays with COVID, the backlog of COVID. It really changed things. Um, And what they ended up doing is it used to be about 10 months, and then it ended up going up to like a year and a half to 2 years. It was close to 2 years for a while. So what immigration did is they said, okay, since it's taken us so darn long to process these removal of conditions, we're gonna give you we're gonna approve your underlying green card request. We're gonna extend your time so you don't have to worry about going out of status while you're waiting for us, okay? So that helped people so that they didn't have to worry about driver's licenses, jobs, and all that kind of stuff. So it still can take up to a year and a half for the removal of condition process. Okay. Um, okay. So I have a question here from Armand. I'm a green card holder. I file the documents for my daughter. She is under 21. When the USCIS approved the documents, she is under 21 and to the National Visa Center turnover 21 what to do. So again, this is coming up a lot more these days. I had a question earlier today about that. So basically, it's taken so stinking long that people they age out is what it's called. Typically speaking, if you get your I-130 approval under the age of 21, you're going to be good, right? They more or less grandfather you, okay? Because again, the way humanity works is people age. So if you get your I-130 approved before you turn 21, that locks you in, okay? So you don't have to worry that you're no longer going to be able to do it. Um, if, however, you don't have the right to move forward um, with your process, you don't have the right to get the visa, and you're in the waiting line for the ability to get a visa, that is when it gets a little bit tricky because once you turn 21, if you get married, there's things that can happen to you that changes your category, change your status. That is just kind of how the system works. So that's why I always tell people, don't wait. The moment you can file, you file because you need to get the ball rolling and you need to get something approved before something weird happens because weird things do happen, okay? And the thing is, when you're dealing with immigration, sometimes they get goofy. Sometimes they kind of enforce the rules differently. They've done a lot of things under my watch where it's not exactly accurate. They're not exactly following the law, is what I'm saying. And what do? Well, you either try to sue them, and it creates pretty big problems, and it creates, money and time and effort. But sometimes that's the only option people have. So don't wait, file right away. Some people, I understand you can't file right away. Um, but for those who can, don't wait. If you've got questions about it, reach out to someone, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer your questions about whether you can file for something or not, and whether you're going to have any problems if you do it. Okay. So reach out to me. Actually, I should put in my handy dandy link here in case people do have questions. You can schedule or book a time with me to talk specifically about your process. So I'm putting that here. I'm going to put it on here too, and then I'm going to get to some more of these questions. So a lot of good questions tonight. So I appreciate that. So let me go down here. Let's see here. Um, so okay. So I got some of my friends on YouTube here. Question: what is the minimum I should wait given my I-60, I'm sorry, my I-601 waiver, hardship waiver to my adult U.S. children has been received 28 months ago and is now on admin processing in the Rio consulate for 2 months. Does the Department of State communicate with the consulate in Rio? This is very similar to a question we had last week. I don't know if you're the same gentleman who asked. Apologize if you are. The thing is goofy with this stuff. The State Department is the embassy. Okay, the State Department is the embassy. So do they communicate with themselves? It depends, because the embassy handles embassy stuff. The National Visa Center is different though. So they both belong to the State Department. But the National Visa Center does their thing. They don't know or care about the individual embassy. Okay. So, I mean, yes, they communicate. They communicate such that if you're able to move forward after you provided all your stuff to the National Visa Center, they will communicate to you and the embassy that you are eligible to move forward. And then it's on you to move forward with the embassy. So, are they in direct communication with the embassy on your behalf? Nope, absolutely not. You got to watch this stuff. You got to make sure that you're pushing it along. Okay. Let's see here. Um, David Liu, you're welcome for doing the stream. It's my pleasure. It's a lot of fun. If someone has a B2 visa, wishes to marry a U.S. citizen, what's the best way of going about it? Okay, if you've got a tourist visa, my friend David, if you've got a tourist visa and you have the ability, you or someone else has the ability to come to the United States, um, you can do that. Tourist visas, depending on how long of a visa stay you're authorized, you may or may not have issues. What do I mean by that? People with ESTAs usually are the ones that have problems. ESTA is the visa waiver. Okay, so people from different parts of Europe can come here without having to get a tourist visa. They have 90-day maximum. Immigration has a rule that says if your intention is to come to the United States for a short period of time, which is 90 days, and you do something outside of that tourist mentality, then they're going to give you trouble sometimes. Okay, if you've got a longer visa, if you got a full 6-month tourist visa, then you're in a much better position than people with the ESTA visa or people with the shorter than 6 months, because you're past that 90-day window. The 90-day window says, again, if you change your intention within 90 days, immigration is automatically going to assume that you're committing some sort of fraud. Okay. So if you have the ability to stay past 90 days, that's the golden ticket for you. Okay. So to answer your question, if you have a longer term visa, you can come to the United States and you can actually get married. Getting married is not the problem, okay? You can get married if you're here for 2 weeks. The problem is what you do once you are married. Do you do immigration or do you have to go back home? That's the key. If your question really is about marriage, you can come here for a 2-week visit. And if you're able to get married to your significant other here in the United States, legally you can do that. Most states don't have a problem with people getting married. They don't have all these rules to trip people up. It's when you get married and you want to move forward with your immigration request, that's where it gets tricky. And I would encourage people to either watch some of my videos where I talk about this or schedule consultations so I can speak specifically to your situation. I don't want you to make a misstep and all of a sudden you've wasted time, money, effort, and patience of your significant other. So it's one of those things that it's better to have a consultation with me, and I posted my link up there. If you wanted to speak directly to me and give me more facts, that would be wonderful. Okay. Okay, let me look here real quick. So that was you, my friend David. Thank you. Um, so okay. So I got a question from Mr. MC. You're looking to get help from us, from my firm, to move through with the process. The question is, do we typically do this all through text? Absolutely not. I've learned in the last several years that texting is without a doubt the preferred mode of communication for most of my clients. It's just people like to text. But no, I mean, we do phone, we do email, we do in person, depending on where you are. So I leave it up to my clients what they prefer. If you want strictly phone call, well, we can do that. So you just got to let us know what your preferences are, and we'll do everything we can to accommodate. Again, it all comes into the balance of how many people we're helping, the work day, et cetera, et cetera. But no, it's not just text. That's the quickest and easiest. So you can do that. You can do Zoom. The sky's the limit. Any mode of communication that's out there, we are capitalizing so that we can help people more efficiently. So let us know, Mr. MC, okay? Okay. Um, okay. So good, David, that's great to hear. You've got 180-day tourist visa. So that's 6 months. You're in good shape, my friend. You can not only get married within that period of time, but if you do get married, um, I would recommend that you wait until after the 90 days. And because you have 6 months, you have that luxury. So do that, okay? Um, Yeah, absolutely, David. Reach out to us. We'd love to help you. Um, okay, so yes, Shaylin, am I able to sponsor my mom who lives in the USA? Absolutely. Okay, I don't know the facts of the case, obviously, so we may need to talk a little bit more about that to find out what's going on. But you can sponsor somebody anywhere on the planet. If you are a US citizen, and most of the time, if you're a legal permanent resident, you can sponsor certain family members wherever they are. Okay. So if your mom is here in the United States, 100% you can sponsor her here. You and I would need to talk because I'm sensing there's probably more to your story, more questions that you have. No more perdón. Again, that's the part that I was trying to say. Depending on your mom's history, she may need a waiver. Okay. Um, but the facts completely dictate what the process is. So reach out to me because, again, sponsoring people is not necessarily getting a green card, right? Sponsoring people is just the start of the green card. So whether she's able to go all the way through the process or not is a conversation that we need to have on the phone, on Zoom, um, probably phone or Zoom, okay? So reach out so I can answer those questions for you, okay? Again, the link is above in the chat, not too far above your question there, okay? So um, check us out, okay? Reach out to me. Okay, let's go here. Again, a lot of people joining us from Instagram, so thank you for that. Let me go back in time here to see who's asked me questions. I'm thirsty. One second. Um, let's see here. Okay, what do you think about uploading relevant, unsolicited evidence, like a joint lease? Um, so that's from Prince Chukas. I would ask for a little bit more from that. I think it's fantastic if that relates to your process, if it would help your process, right? That might sound cryptic to you, but to an attorney, it means everything. Meaning, I don't know the facts of your case. I don't know which case you're even talking about, but I will say that most information that if you need information to show your relationship, if to show your time in the United States, then that kind of information absolutely is necessary. Okay. When you say unsolicited, that also makes me wonder because immigration, they don't solicit nothing, right? They don't solicit stuff. They tell you, here, figure it out. Send us whatever you think we need in order to prove your case. That's why immigration is so difficult. So you got to crawl in the head of the agent. Um, so there's a little bit of an art to it, but I often include that kind of information in my client cases. Okay. Um, so let's see here. Let me go back over here. See if there's any follow up. Shaylin, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Um, okay, so keep asking questions, folks. Please. We got 3 minutes until the end of the scheduled time. I did have some other questions that I wanted to go over because I thought they were good. They were a little bit tough, but I like tough questions. Okay, my fiance and I have kids from a previous marriage, and now we would like to get married. So I can petition her and her son for a green card. My question is, we both had an opposite sex spouse before. Will that be a different case to prove this is a real marriage? No. So the same sex stuff, thankfully, it's been, I mean, I think it's been close to 10 years now that immigration has recognized the same sex relationships. And in my experience, they treat it exactly the same as um, different sexes, okay? Heterosexuals, homosexuals, they treat it the same. The key is showing immigration and convincing them that you're in a legitimate, bona fide relationship. It doesn't matter if you're same sex or not. If you can show that it's legitimate, bona fide, real, then you're not going to have any problems. Okay. I've done it many, many times. So you can absolutely do that. Um, where was that question? I want to go to it. Um, one second here, folks. Do do. Okay, this is always a good question because it relates to a request for evidence, RFEs. We just received an email for an RFE, and I went to check on the website, but it doesn't show what exactly they need. My question is, where can I check the RFE letter online? Um, to my knowledge, you can't. You've got to wait for that thing to come in the mail. They don't certain things they don't do online. Okay, they do it through the regular traditional government bureaucratic way, and that's through the mail. So um, and this is another good question. Um, so again, if you yeah, if you don't rely on the online system because it does not provide accurate, quick, easy, real information. Okay, so you got to wait for the real thing come in the mail. This question: is it possible to join the military for immigration? So that question is a great question. So they've changed rules on who they allow in the military. Okay, they pretty much changed it to legal permanent residence. So no longer can you join the military if you don't have legal status, and it's just it kind of has changed over the last several years. Um, they used to let it happen. And really, it comes down to how in need we are with our 100% volunteer military force. In lean times, they change the rules. They say anyone and everyone who wants to join the military and support the country of the United States of America, we will reward you by allowing you to get a fast track to immigration. There's still benefits, fast track naturalization for sure, but currently you cannot join the military unless you're a legal permanent resident. Okay, so great question. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. So, forgive me, I'm taking up valuable time by looking up these questions. Okay, that was a good question. I already answered it though. So if you have any questions, again, I'm going to do a sweep through the chat real quick. No new questions. Again, post your questions. Remember, every week, your questions are what enrich this opportunity and this live session for people. So please post your questions. Okay, this is a really good question. Will my K1 visa be approved if we haven't been dating for a year? So yes, the answer is yes. I've gotten approvals for clients who've been dating for much less than a year. There's no magic number when it comes to a year. A year is a safe period of time because it means it's easier to show that you have a history. That's the bottom line. Is there a rule that if you've only been dating for 2 months that you can't do it? No. If you can prove your relationship and you can convince the government that it's bona fide or legitimate, then you don't have to wait a year. Okay, I've done it many, many, many times. Okay, so we are out of time, but this question I think is a good question because it's very common for people to ask about crimes and naturalization. So is it possible to become a U.S. citizen if you have a DUI? Okay. Yes, I've done it so many times. Okay. Um, they immigration can be very strict about a lot of things. If you've had one single DUI, I've gotten a citizenship for a client that he had two. I don't know if he had three, but he definitely had more than one. Okay, so yes, if you can show that you're a good person. That's the key with citizenship. DUI doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you have bad moral character. If there's other things going on in your history, it might be harder for you to convince the government that you are a good person, that you're moral. Okay, but getting a DUI, reach out to me, look at the link above. I would love to help you. I've done this many, many times with people. It's one of the things, actually, it was naturalization that I specialize with people with DUIs. So reach out to me. Again, I can put that link here again just because I have it handy dandy. That is the last question for tonight. I'm way over compared to times past. But again, it's because I love what I do. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Next Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Detroit time, I want you to come and join us again and have your questions ready, okay? So I can blaze through these questions and give you really good content. As always, this video is going to be on my YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and look at some of the questions and some of the answers, please feel free to check it out. Again, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.